Hello, and welcome to the Roadish Podcast. It's been a while, but my name is Rune. As always, I have with me Armand.
Hello, people.
Yeah, nice one. It's actually been some time since we've properly caught up, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been quite some time.
Yeah, it's been, I would say, like a week and a half or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. But I would say it's mainly because I've been busy. I haven't been online too much.
Yeah, Rune actually having a life for once.
Yeah, that one. Very, very rare, but we'll get into that. But what's been up with you? What's been going on? What's been happening?
Well, I finally been able to sort out some form of documentation, to
Nice.
Get me a driving license and to no longer be a technically illegal immigrant. I was legal when I got here, I got here legally.
Yeah.
But then my passport expired and all that, so I couldn't really leave the country.
Mm-hmm.
So you put that as you will. But
Well,
yeah, now I've got...
Don't know why you'd want to. I mean, it's like the best.
Debatably.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But yeah, that's been it. I also having a 5-day weekend due to strikes. So yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, actually, that kind of leads into something that I'll be bringing up with the whole strike thing as well, of what's happening later tonight for me. But yeah, what else has been going on other than sorting paperwork and enjoying time off, obviously?
Nothing that interesting. Nothing worthwhile.
Nothing major. It's just been kind of getting on with things.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. Well, I'll try and keep mine fairly concise. I don't want to go off into a million and one tangents. Excuse me. I was like at 6. So in reference to the strike thing that you said about, actually tonight, I have to go to an airport. I don't want to say what airport. I don't want to be too specific, but I have to pick someone up at 11:30 at night, as you know, plane times are like that for whatever reason. So I have to go pick someone up at 11:30. So that was a very last minute.
Those are just cheap airline plane times.
Well, the person who I'm picking up has been on I say holiday. I don't know what they're doing. I'm gonna have to ask, but they went like overseas / flew like 2 days ago. So I don't really know what's going on. They don't have any bags. They just have like a carry-on. There's no security check for anything. I don't know what the situation is. It's not for me to ask anyway. But
Secret
I'm probably,
assassin.
maybe, yeah, just being sent out to a different country or something. I don't know. It just seems very strange. But I'll ask later on, and maybe I'll come back with a bit of a story, and it ends up being a bit mad. But yeah, they for whatever reason, they're just, I don't know, maybe went on holiday for like a day or two. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah.
But then other than that, obviously, I think I did end up telling you that I went to a private Airsoft game. So that was kind of fun. So I ended up in the I say the local shop. It's not local for me. It's a bit away, but it's like the only one that's even reasonably close for an Airsoft place. I got some upgrades done to my rifle, and I hung out for like an hour and a half. I was there for way longer than I expected to be. The guys there were really helpful, and then a guy popped in who he was the father to someone who was at a game that was about to start. He came in with some mags that he needed like checking for leaks. Yeah, and we were just like having the chat in between, and he just kind of went, "There's a game on today if you want to come to the private one." And I was like, "Well, where is it? Because if it's like ages away, I'm not going to go. And how much is it going to cost?" He was like, "Oh, it's invite only, so it doesn't cost anything unless you want to buy lunch." And I was like, "Well, I'll probably buy lunch. It'll be fine." Yeah, and just ended up going to this site again. I'm not going to mention the location more specifically, but it's part of a company who typically do games on weekends. So I've booked in with them to have another game on Saturday. So I'm going back to the same place, but it's a different setup. So they have like 9 or 10 acres. They have like a private games area, it was a fun game. It was really good. It wasn't as long as I expected. It was only like 4.5 hours. And it wasn't too manic. There was only about 30 people there, so it wasn't a massive game. It's not what I consider a big game. But the one on Saturday, I think 50 people have booked in so far, so it's going to be a big game, which is going to be interesting. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, 10 acres of land, that's a pretty reasonable amount of land.
Yeah, it's a decent amount of land. And I think I've been there before many, many years ago, but I went when I was, I used to do dirt biking when I was younger. I say younger, like way, way, way younger. I think it's on the same plot of land. It's been reused now. It's not a dirt bike place. It's a airsoft site, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll play Airsoft together.
Yeah. I remember you saying at some point that you'd pop down. the main reason that I've rebooked into this place is that I want to get my Yukara, which I'm not too sure. For anyone who doesn't know, essentially Yukara is a license to say that you can have like proper replica rifles. Typically, if you don't have a Yukara, you have to buy a two-tone. I think it means that like 30% of the gun has to be a different color.
Like a bright color, like blue.
Yeah,
or
like a
orange or
blue, red, green. You can get them in all sorts. Some people buy like full guns that are like red, like the whole thing is, and you can quite clearly tell. But I don't currently have my Yukara because you have to do 3 games at one site in 60 days. And it costs like a tenner. It's like nothing, but essentially it's just a thing to say that like you have an interest, you can be responsible, you've got an interest enough to show up to like games on a reasonably frequently. So yeah, it seems kind of fun, something to do. And then other than that, I've just been back and forth and kind of all over the place, really. Just been driving a lot. And then this one's a bit of a weird week for me. For anyone who remembers the Twitch streams that I used to do, God knows how long ago that was. Yeah, ages ago.
Since we stopped playing Valorant, you kind of stopped streaming.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like I've got a few messages. Olivia, that I know doesn't watch this, messaged me the other day and was like, "Oh, you seem to stop streaming, but I think I'm gonna get back into it." And I was like, "Yeah, if you want to do that, go for it." I just like lost interest. Like I had no obligation to do so. I fancied doing it at the time. I probably will again in the future at some point, but the main reason I was bringing that up is because during the time that I was streaming is the time, this is going to sound depressing now, my mother passed away, and this Sunday is Mother's Day, so I've had a bit of a weird week where it feels a bit strange, but I don't know. It'll be fine, I know it'll be fine, but it just feels like a very strange week where everyone's like ranting and raving about this particular thing, and I'm like, I don't need reminding. It seems like an odd one. Yeah, so it's strange. But yeah, anyway, that was a quick catch-up. Because we are so unbelievably planned. We're doing this a day early, which is nice, but we have no fucking clue what's going on.
No. We're doing this a week and a half late.
But technically, yes, we are like significantly late, but a day early for upload days. So yeah, you said about earlier that you've sent me some videos on Instagram, which obviously I've watched. I do watch them, but I don't always respond to them just because I'll watch them and I'm either doing something else.
If you watch them, just like them. Just like double click on the message itself, and I'll
if it says seen, I've watched it.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, I know it makes it seem like I'm just leaving you on scene. I have watched it. Anything that you send me, and I'll watch through pretty much most of it if it's not like stupidly long. But I don't know how long Instagram reels are.
I think I've seen one that was like half an hour long. It was stupid.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that. I'll let you know if I'm gonna like. I'll watch a bit of it and be like, how fucking long is this? Oh, that reminds me very quickly before we get into whatever the fuck we want to do, because it's all you and this, that, and the other. YouTube have revised their policy stuff when it comes to like swearing in the first like 60 seconds. Not to say that we can just do it constantly, but they've like loosened it slightly. I believe now it's like if you constantly do it through a video, you're more likely to be flagged, but like it might not also pick you up in the first 60 seconds. It's very like vague because they have to be vague. But remember beforehand where it was like, oh, if this happens in this particular time frame, your video might get flagged or demonetized. This they don't seem to be doing that anymore, or on a lesser scale.
Whatever that one.
Yeah, demonetization.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt us.
No, it doesn't affect us anyway. I don't even know if we would ever get to that point in a reasonable amount of time. But still.
Never say never, motherfucker.
I'm not saying never. I'm just saying I don't know if it will happen in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. No, because actually, now they've said that, I've seen a lot of videos on Instagram with like the hashtag stop podcasts. And I'm like,
okay.
Like, what the hell? Why is this?
Yeah, why is that?
People making the movement because apparently there's been too many podcasts lately, and they're like, oh, too many podcasts, man.
It's so easy to make a podcast. Like, obviously we do it and like we struggle to keep on top of it. If I even just spent a reasonable amount of time thinking of it, like it's obviously way easier to do because the amount of time that people spend in like a Discord call, just be like, oh yeah, just record this and then stick it up. And it's like, okay, there you go, there's a podcast. Like,
yeah,
most people will put it up on like audio only with a black background or something. At least we've got something on screen, and I'm sure in the future as well we'll obviously do what we said about with like having like a face cam and I don't know, more showy, I suppose, rather than just the audio
More
base that I want to make.
dopamine-inducing videos.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine they'd be that much more interesting than the current audio that we have. But I mean, it's fine. It works. It is what it is.
I think we need to work on making ourselves interesting before we work on making the videos interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we've got stuff going on, but it's fairly mundane stuff because it's like I said before before we go into the videos that say about, we run in very different circles, don't we? Like internet wise.
If we'd be in like even internet wise, right? But the thing, like I go and talk to my friends about anything, it's a lot more interesting because not necessarily we share the same experiences, but like if I tell him something that it seems interesting to me, it'll most likely be interesting to him. But if I tell you, oh yeah, I slept with this bitch last week, so you'll be like, okay, sure, you know. But to him, it's like, oh, give me details, tell me about it, you know, ins and out. But like, you know what I mean?
Ins and outs.
You are a disgusting human being.
What? You're the one bringing it up. It's not like it's oh yeah, I'm just going to mention this. It's because the impact it has is like so, I don't want to say juvenile because like obviously for obvious reasons that maybe we won't make too obvious here. Like you're younger than me, so like that has a bigger impact on like, but I would say like internet wise in the social circles that we run in that, like I listen to different content than you do, obviously. Like you send me reels that I'm never going to see and things like that. Like if I said about the Moist Critical and Sneeko beef, did you see that? You know anything about that the other day?
No, I haven't heard too much about that beef. Yeah, especially.
But that's been like the most recent thing, or like Destiny pissing off a load of Islamic people on Twitter. Like again, another thing. I know you don't use Twitter, and it's not necessarily just linked to Twitter, but like that's another thing that I've heard of. Or Bruce leaving OTK, like.
The sentence you currently said, I have no knowledge about anything, any words in that sentence. Bruce leaving OTK. What is OTK? Who is Bruce? Why did he leave?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. But even if I were to like quickly go over it, so do you know Mizkif, the Twitch streamer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he's in a group, like you know the team that you can have on. Asmongold's in it as well, and a few others that I don't really care about. I don't really care about the whole team, if I'm totally honest. After the whole Mizkif thing, Bruce is a member of One True King, which is the team that OTK is like one of the biggest Twitch stream teams that there are. He recently left by just like posting on Twitter, I'm resigning from OTK. Apparently there's no bad blood or anything. I don't know why he left. I don't know if it's been released yet at the particular time that we're recording this. I don't dig into it too much, but it's like if we were both in the same circles and had a bit more of an idea about what OTK was, we could have a back and forth on it. But we don't. So it's like, oh yeah, this thing happened, and you're like, yeah, cool. And then you're like, yeah, this thing happened, and I'm like, yeah, cool. That's it. That's as far as stuff goes.
It is very much like that, Rune. You're right. But currently, we've got some content to go over.
Okay.
So go to your Instagram, please.
I'm going to go to my Instagram. Have you sent me something new?
No, I haven't sent anything new to you, but you need to... So I'll tell you which reel we start with, so then you're not completely baffled by it, right?
Okay. Are you going to go over the barking one?
Actually, yes, I will start with the barking one.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so to give a bit of context, it's a load of people who are protesting. I don't know what country they're in. It may probably the US, not 100% sure.
Most likely the US.
Yeah. The caption for it is, "This is who is arguing to take away your freedoms." I'm not too sure what that reference is because nothing is said other than a load of protesters barking at people. It's fucking insane. I will agree with you, it's insane, but I have to view it from both sides as best as possible. I don't advocate for this because it's fucking stupid, okay? It's retarded. But they're also allowed to do that. Is that fair to start with?
Just because you're allowed to do something.
Yeah, I know. But I'm still saying for both sides, it's retarded, but they're allowed to do it. Like, if it's America, let's assume, okay, if we'll assume that it's in the US, First Amendment right, like you're allowed to do that. You're not infringing on anyone else by turning up to a protest. If you want to bark at people, it's a bit fucking weird, but it could also, just as something I did just think of, it could be a media thing. It could just be like a shock value or as we say, we're talking about it. So it could be something, I don't know, I'm not even going to look into it. I don't know what it's about. I don't care. But go on, you go for it. You send it to me. Like,
I believe that is the most degenerate and most, how do I put this? it's absolutely retarded, man. Like if you do that, if you think of doing that, if you think like that's something that you'd like to do, go and bark at people and like do that as a form of protest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not allowed to say this on YouTube, but go take a rope, tie it to a ledge.
Okay, we won't go that far. You can just all you have to
dangling.
say. You can just say Roblox. Okay, you just go Roblox. Okay. I'm gonna play it. I don't know how well it will come across on the mic. I would add it into the video, but it's just not worth it of me putting in the effort to like post edit it in. Right.
Yeah.
It's literally a load of
LGBTQIA plus members.
Possibly, but we don't know that. But I mean, the coloured hair and the type of clothing, this, that, and the other, weird bagpipe things. The thing is, though, what are they protesting? Because by the looks of things, there are some red flags, as in, like, literally the guy standing there with red flags. This is the UK. It is the UK because there's the.
Lord, I want to move.
I think so. Looking at it, maybe a train station in London. Going by the flags that they're holding up, I would have to find out. I'd probably have to find out who they're like opposing, because the people on the other side just standing there with a flag with an English lion on it means fuck all.
There's no reason in this world for anyone to do that at any point in their life. Like you have to sit there and think to yourself, what have I done so wrong in life that I am at a protest with other people, human beings, barking with madly colored hair in some rather weird outfits?
They're wearing a style of clothing, if you will, but yeah.
Yeah, to protest for what? There's nothing in this world worth doing that for. It's just.
Well, it depends on what they're protesting, because obviously there's obviously some other thing going on at the time, because there's a load of guys in like medieval military outfit. I don't know. I'm not going to say like the whole Nazi thing, but I know that some people would look and be, oh, they're fucking Nazi. I don't fucking know that. I don't think they are.
But you also think, no matter what you do, by protesting for your reason, you are making that reason look bad in the eyes of the people.
Yeah, it's an optical loss. Yeah, it's an optical loss, but it doesn't mean that they can't do it. And it's like, okay, let's say that they are all under the age of 20, because it very much looks like that.
And if you're above like 30 and you do that,
I'm going to have a slightly, I don't want to say a hot take, but I've spoken about this in the past anyway, whenever people turn up to protests. I get the whole kind of like organization to turn up, or like you organize to turn up at a particular place and like protest it as an event. I think the scariest thing that you can do is if you're like protesting against something, say like there's an introduction of a bill or a law or something like that. The scariest thing you can do, personally, I'll add that as a caveat that it's personally, is if you turned up like a militant group. If you were going to like, right, we're going to pick a road and we're going to march down it, if it was a group of unorganized people just waving signs around and screaming something that no one can hear coherently, doesn't mean anything. Okay, it's a group of people that aren't really like, nothing is succinct enough for you to put your point across in one like fell swoop.
Yeah.
But if you turned up like a militant group, you're marching in lines, holding the signs that you have, but also saying nothing. That's scary as fuck. Like,
yeah, that's also hold a lot more power.
It demands more respect, because like you'd look at that like they are fucking organized, and they're not like organized as in they've all turned up to a place. They are like scarily organized to the point it's like, okay, this is reason. It's like the guy who stood in front of a tank. The old like there's a I don't want to say there's a meme of it, but like it's quite famous that he literally like stood in front of the tank.
Are we allowed to say that on YouTube?
Sorry.
Are we allowed to say that on YouTube?
Say what?
The guy in the tank, in front of the tank.
I guess so. I think the video is on YouTube of him standing. He's just protesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the video is. I think they cut off before the actual thing that happens in that video. But he just stands in front of a tank in protest. Doesn't do anything like crazy. He's not jumping up and down. He's literally just holding barking. Shopping bags. Yeah, he's not barking. But so I don't necessarily. Anyway, to loop back around to this video, I don't condone it. I think it's fucking stupid, but they are allowed to do it. Maybe it's a media thing. I don't know. It's stupid. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, did you want to go over the next one down, or did you want to point towards another one?
No. We'll go as you got them. Next one down.
Yeah, but the next one down is Turning Point USA, which isn't a far right organization, and the first person I see is fucking Candace Owens. Like, I haven't even opened the video yet.
Who the hell is Candace Owens? The person in the video? Is that the person in the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Candace Owens is a, like... Without... I don't want to say generalizing. What's the word I'm after? It's not performative. She's the closest that with what she's said. She's the closest to what I would consider a self-hating like white supremacist. She's like quite scary in some of her viewpoints, like race realism, like that kind of level of stuff, but maybe not quite as far as like if I had my choice, like my people, I'm putting that in quotes, my people wouldn't be in this country because we're all dumb criminals, like that kind of level of like okay. So I will listen out to this video, but I'll try and put it across the mic because I can't play it through this. It's obviously just her speaking.
Now in this country, this is a fact, we have never handed out more degrees ever in the history of this country, right? And yet we have never produced kids coming out of university that are so dumb. The IQ level is dropping. That is a fact.
Is it?
It doesn't make sense. If people are getting dumber, how is it plausible that we are handing out more degrees? Well, because that is by design. The idea is to make a bunch of people...
This isn't going to be a JQ thing, is it?
Really stupid. Really stupid. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to spend $100,000 on a degree in gender studies? I mean, wow. 4 years studying something that I learned the first day in kindergarten? That's the boys' bathroom. That's the girls' bathroom. Okay, thanks. Who the heck needs a gender studies major for anything? When's the last time you looked at your phone and said, oh crap, I need a gender studies major? It's going to be a tornado out there. We better make sure the gender studies majors are...
Oh, it's lagging. Video being taken down by the deep state.
The AC broke. Where are the gender studies? Nobody. Ever.
Okay, I get the point that she's making. She's just looping now. She's saying the same thing over and over again.
To go back to the point, who needs a gender studies degree?
No one.
But there's no use for it.
Well, that's different. There is uses for it because it depends on it. You might not have
uses. Give me use. Please give me a use for a gender studies degree.
If I were to let's broaden it slightly, I'm still going to make it as specific when it comes to this particular like a gender studies degree. I don't know personally where they could be used in, say, like society, but if I were to zoom out a little bit and say, okay, so we're currently having a philosophical debate back and forth with the whole like trans identity thing and incorporating them into society. Is that fair so far?
Yep.
Okay, so there's bills in place that you could be sued or have some sort of like criminal maybe litigation, I'm not too sure on the wording, I'm not a lawyer obviously, against you for maybe discriminating against, say, a trans person. Is that still fair so far?
Yep.
If you were needed to bring someone in as an expert witness on whether this person has been diagnosed or they've seen an MD or whether they've been going through, say, the proper stages and steps to be diagnosed and have some sort of medical backing for the stage that they find themselves at, would you say that's a reasonable person to bring in as an expert witness to be able to speak on the terms of gender studies?
Yes, that it's a reasonable use for it, but it's a use case that we have invented because we've decided, oh yeah, we're gonna have transgender people and whatever other sexualities and ways of viewing the world people have these days. We're just gonna have that. We're gonna not necessarily allow it, right? But we're gonna hold people accountable for discriminating against groups like that, right?
Yeah, we already do that.
Right, yeah, but okay, I understand holding people accountable for discriminating against black people, Asian people, Indian people, right? People that there's a vast majority of them and they get born with that certain thing. You know, you can't be like, oh yeah, I identify as black now and then proceed saying the N-word, right? I can't do that.
Yeah,
I can't do that. So then why are people allowed to be like, oh yeah, I am now a woman? You are not a woman. You will never have your period. You will never be able
okay,
to
so we're
bear
going down
a child.
we're
Right,
going down
so-
but hang on, because we're going down different routes now, because what you used to justify or clarify of what is a woman would also fall into some people that you would call biologically women who can't have those things. Are they no longer women anymore? Because we can't. This is the whole social construct thing. We put things in categories because we find it useful. So there's
Okay.
there's two main things just quickly to bring up of what you just said. The word you're looking for is intrinsic. Things that are born with you. I didn't choose to be born with white skin. They didn't choose to be born with black skin. I was born bi, but I didn't choose to be born gay or straight. So this is why there are protected classes in the US more specifically, because you can't discriminate against someone for for something that is intrinsic to their being. The science so far, it could change. I'm not saying it couldn't change, but it seems to point in the direction that when you are born trans, and it's through a discovery process, which is why we go through the medical proceedings that we need to go through. So if someone is born with I think it's a body dysphoria, I think or it's gender dysmorphia, one of the two. I'm not an MD, so I'm not going to know all of it.
Body dysmorphia is when you're not happy with your body. It mostly happens in bodybuilders because no matter how big they get, they think
there's a mix-up of the language. So hang on, there's
body
gender
dysphoria, right? Body dysphoria.
Hang on, is it dysphoria or is it body dysmorphia? Hang on, because they're very different.
Dysmorphia is the one I'm talking about.
So there's body dysmorphia, and then there's gender. Hang on, let me just make sure I'm getting this right. There's gender dysphoria, which are two different things.
Right. Now, the way you said you are born trans, you are not born trans. I have never heard someone from the 1600s. Well, obviously, I've never heard someone from the 1600s. Full stop. But I have never read in a book or anywhere saying, "Oh yes, there was this peasant that I was like, oh, I want to be a woman. You know, I was born." No, you were not born a woman. No one from the 1600s, 1800s, 1900s was like, "Oh yes, I am a woman." When they were born a man. No, this is all new things that we have instated because we are bored of the things we have already invented, so we're like just inventing new random things to do, but they don't seem right. Tell me this, Rune. How much do you agree with trans people? Like, do you think it's something you're born with, or do you just think it's something that people choose?
Okay, so there's two things. I would say that with all the science so far, it says that people are born with it, because you can be born with a gender dysmorphia to the point that if you are born with an unease that your brain does not match your body, we try our best to rectify that through the use of hormones. The second thing is the earliest sign of someone being transgender is 222 AD. It was a Roman emperor. I just quickly Googled it. Up to 4,500 years ago, there was a Roman emperor called Elgabalus, preferred to be called a lady rather than a lord, and sought out sex reassignment surgery. So this has been something that's been throughout all of history. It's just more now because we have the internet. We're more connected than we've ever been. We're gonna see more of it, and it's slowly becoming more accepted. That's literally the only reason that it's like more profound in what we're currently seeing. It's not something that's new that we've just made up magic. What I would say is the neo pronouns, so that all the zers and all that kind of shit. I don't agree with that because we're going off into different territories then. And typically speaking, if someone is transgender, they will also what's the word? I think it begins with F. Fuck. They will appear to be the well, you can call that if you want, but again, the science doesn't point that direction yet. And again, could change. We don't have all of the information because it's only more recently that we're doing studies on how this kind of thing works. But say there is someone who is transgender, they will they'll present themselves as the sex, or they'll present themselves as the gender that they want to identify as. So it could be a clothing thing, it could be a hairstyle thing, it could be the type of shoes they wear or how they carry themselves. So like you got to think maybe like back in the 60s, it was quite fashionable for guys to have long hair. But if you go back to the 40s, that was seen as really feminine. Or men wearing jewelry now, that's really feminine if you go back to maybe like the 40s, 50s and 60s. Maybe the 70s introduced it into guys wearing necklaces with the peace sign. Like we change a lot on these things, but it's the way that we present ourselves as people. But yeah, it's one of those of like, we don't have to dig into it, and we've probably just thought more of it than most other people do. A gender studies thing might not be the most useful, but it's also the same as an arts degree. Who the fuck needs an arts degree? We don't need them, but we like them in society. Yeah, we don't need them. They're not a function of well, I'd say I would maybe go as far as they're not a function, but they're almost as a necessity for society. Like, imagine having no arts. Like, how shit would it be? It's like having a better understanding of something that we consider quite new. It's not a bad thing.
An arts degree is useful and useless at the same time.
Yeah, there are pros and cons, but I would say the same as probably about a gender thing.
Yeah, because with an arts degree, you can go and do design, and then design is everywhere. You can do with the architecture, which once again we need architects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, engineers would be nothing without architects.
So I just quickly put in for gender studies degree because I've literally I haven't put in pros, cons, good, bad, anything. I've literally just put in gender studies degree, and the first thing that comes up is from it's a college in Indiana, so I'm guessing again the US. But a ABA, I'm not too sure what a BA is. A bachelor's associate. I'm not too sure on how the grading works. Prepares you for entry into graduate programs in a wide variety of fields, including law, public affairs, public policy, non-profit management, education, and business. So along the lines of what I said earlier about like being maybe an expert witness on in a lawsuit of some kind. So yeah, I would say that, as you say, like with arts, useful and useless, but we require them to function as a decent and reasonable society. Like, there are lots of things that would be nice if we had art, but it isn't a necessity that we're not going to die without it. We'll find other ways of entertainment.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to like Turning Point USA stuff, it's the same reason I was like, can you not send me fucking PragerU shit? Because their stuff it's the same line as like Project Veritas. Like, their journalistic standards are below hell, if that even exists.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the last video? I'll let you talk as much as you want about the last video because...
What's the timer?
We're fine on time, don't worry.
Okay. Right.
We'll fill out. We're right.
The last video, it's it's funny to some degree. It's a video where they go back like through history and they talk about all the things that people thought would ruin the economy back then, and be like, oh yeah, we can't
give a minimum wage. Oh yeah, short hours. Yeah.
We can't shorten the hours, it'll ruin the economy. We can't give a minimum wage, it'll ruin the economy. And doing all of that, right? And then we're going through it, and obviously it proves that it didn't ruin the economy and actually make it grow. And then it's a video of Rishi Sunak, our current prime minister in the UK, saying, "Oh, we cannot raise the minimum wage."
Yeah, because it will ruin the economy. Yeah, it's been looped over and over and over again. I did find it quite funny. It was just kind of like, well,
it is quite funny to look at it and be like, well, let's look at history a little bit. Every single time someone says it'll ruin the economy, it really didn't ruin the economy.
No. There needs to be a reasonable middle ground, because even with this, like, yeah, I'm going to agree with it on the most part, because obviously as it goes back through time, I think one of the things that come up is like, we can't get rid of our slaves, it would ruin the economy. And to some degree, it kind of did, because agriculture was like a really big thing for the south of the US. But yeah, obviously then ending with Rishi Sunak saying the same thing. There needs to be a reasonable middle ground. It's like when, what was it? $15 minimum wage was the thing for the US. I think at the moment we have two in the UK. We have a national minimum wage and a national living wage. So there's two like sections. I'm not too sure what they stand at the moment. I haven't looked at it for a while, because it's not to say it's not something that affects me, but it's like $7.25.
No, national minimum wage is £9.81. And I think living one is like 11 something. So I believe, I'm not 100% sure. Don't fact check me on this.
Yeah.
No.
So we also have it for the UK. It's in different age brackets. So we've got under 18 is £4.81. 18 to 20 is £6.83.
No. You're wrong.
I'm currently looking it up. This is from April 1st, 2022.
Really?
Yeah.
What's it called? I've been taught in school actually. So this is a school curriculum. So from 14 to 16, it's £4.81. Mm-hmm. From 16 to 18 is between $5.20 to $7, and then anything above 18 to 21 is like £8, I believe. And
okay,
then
so we've got two things here, because I've got the current rates and the rates that will be in 2023. So you're mixing both. So if I go, this is all the previous ones. So just quickly go through it. So apprentice is 481, which is essentially it's the same as the under 18. 18 to 20 is 683. 21 to 22 is 918, and 23 and over, which they consider the national living wage, but I'm going to check that in a minute, is £9.50. The rates from April 1st, 2023, so that's this year in a month and a half. Under 18 and apprentice are the same at £5.28, so that's where you were saying about £5.27. 18 to 20 is £7.49. 21 to 22 is £10.18. 23 and over is £10.42. So it's going up slowly. But this is what I mean about the middle ground, is that, like, if there are a load of fucking stupid lefties on Twitter screaming that the rates are about to go up but they don't go high enough, and they're asking for like a £17 minimum wage, we're going to have an issue. Like, that's going to cause massive issue, because that will just kill off small business, because they can't absorb that cost. That just doesn't work. But I would guess with the price of everything else going up, this seems fairly reasonable at the moment. I've already received my pay raise for this year, so I'm okay personally. But we'll have to see how this works out, because things are getting more expensive. These still aren't in line with inflation for everything else. Like, you couldn't buy a house on this. Like,
you can't buy a house on many wages, and it's stupid to see how most of the world lives. To see that the top 1% in the USA, it's 800k a year, which seems a lot. I'll give you that. 800k a year is a lot, but from 800k a year to the really, really big top earners, there's a wide range, and there's many people in between those in that range.
Like,
and
we're closer to millionaires than millionaires are to billionaires. That kind of level.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy to think that you can be a millionaire and be broke in today's age. Like, you drop $1 million into mine or your account, and we'd still be relatively broke compared to most people in the world.
If you as a general comparison, but like, money can only get you so far, because I would definitely say that if you're earning, I'd say in the UK, if you're earning 50k a year and you're not in London, so we exclude London because London is a weird anomaly. If you're earning
Surrey, or like any,
well, even Surrey, I'm not far from Surrey personally, so like, and it's more than reasonable. I would say if you're earning,
himself.
well, that's a kind of a big area. Surrey is big, but yeah, if outside of London, if you're earning 50k and you're still like having money issues, you've got to change that. There's got to be something major you change in your life. Like, I wouldn't say that having 50k and outside of London, you should be struggling anywhere. Which might seem like a really hot thing to say, but like, let's be honest, 50k is a lot of money, like, a year.
Well, let's take it like this, right? We'll do 50. Can you please be not be 50k divided by 12, right? Because 12 months, right? That's $4,000 a month, which is a lot of money.
Well, hang on, times by 0.2.
Why are we times by 0.2?
Because tax exists.
0.2 times by 0.2.
Yeah, so you end up with that amount, then you take that amount off of 50k, I believe, and that's how you figure out of what we pay for tax.
So wait, so 50k, right, times by 0.2, so
we'll
10k.
So that's a fifth. So yeah, with 10k, so what it ends up being?
So 40k divided by 12, right?
Yeah.
So you're making £3,333 a month. It's quite a bit of money, right?
That's a significant amount of money. That's a decent chunk. You got to think. I think the average mortgage in the UK is £1,000 a month.
Yeah, right. So let's say you spend $1,000 on your mortgage, right? You spend 300 on car payments, and you bought another.
Jesus Christ! What car payments have you got for 300 quid? See, this is the type of thing that I mean. Like, don't live outside of your means. America does this really badly. They get more money, or like a family will get more money, and then they'll increase their means of spending. And it's like, why? Why have you done that? Why have you fucking yourself over? Like, because then you just live in this weird bracket where one bad thing happens, the tyre blows on the car, or a pipe bursts in your house, or there needs to be some sort of renovation of something that's going on, or you have a medical bill because it's the US or something. You're in exactly the same boat as someone who's earning 17k a year and they've absolutely fucked themselves. Just because you earn more doesn't mean you immediately have to go out and spend more.
Right,
You end up in this weird bracket all the time.
I understand what you're saying. Right, let's say you're paying insurance for 200. Right? I'll probably be paying more than 200 insurance, but I'll put it at 200. Right?
Well, you would, but even at 40k, if you're earning by that point, if you're spending any more than £100 on insurance, you're fucking stupid. But yeah, okay, fine, go 200.
Let's say 200 on insurance, and then 200 on I'll put repairs, gas plus car payments, right? So 400. So you're already pretty much right. Let's take away 1,400 out of this.
You're at 2,900 ish, 2,800. But plus minus the mortgage thing, so you're on £1,800.
Yeah, I'm on 1933.
Okay,
right?
Yeah. So
you're left with 1933 for utilities, food, and or like fun, if you will, right?
A luxury item to some degree, yeah. Like if you're blasting through just over £1,800 a month on that kind of stuff. Like bear in mind, I used to live in a 5-bedroom, and it was £1,300 a month for the rent. It's £500 a month for utilities, so that was the electric, the gas, the internet. So it was just the three. So that was immediately £1,800.
Were you not paying no console tax or?
I didn't pay that
TV
side
license?
of it, but that was included in it. No, we didn't pay for a TV license. We didn't watch TV.
Oh, okay.
We had like the subscription service that everyone else has. So add that on top. We were paying 2,300 ish between two people in a 5-bedroom. Like,
okay, yeah,
it's not completely unfeasible, and I'm not on 50k a year. Like, I'm nowhere near. The combined maybe was. No, it was a little bit more than 50k combined, so that wasn't too bad. But like, even so, it was like more than reasonable. Sometimes it was a bit like, okay, well, we're kind of pushing it a little bit, but it is because like I was building a car at the time. And I was like, well, this is my own fault. I'm putting money into something that isn't a necessity. It sometimes scale the line, but
you have to consider, right? Because if you're gonna live right off a normal job, right, and you're not gonna go and do the hustle university and get rich quick and all that bollocks,
sure.
Right? You can't just live on, I don't know how I'm gonna put this. You can't live on a low standard. Like, for example, in where I'm at in life, right? I'm not very far, obviously, but I've been taught if you can afford it, do it, because you never know when you're not gonna be able to afford it. So, like, when we go out to the shops, we don't buy the cheapest ham, right? Or we don't buy like the shit one. We buy the good ones, right? We don't spend 20 quid on four slices of ham, but we don't spend the 50p one, like all the ends, right? So I think that's where like maybe we differ in views. Like I don't know how
only
your standards are, but for us, like,
I get that, but it's because you're already in a position to do that. Like, so when I used to live on my own, I was earning. I will actually say this because this was when I was much younger. Anyway, I was earning £1,250 a month. I was living on my own in a flat, and all of my rent and my bills came to £1,250 a month. I had literally nothing. I was doing guitar servicing on the side, and I had 20 quid a month for food. So if I did one guitar, I'd have 20 quid for food. If I did two guitars, I'd have 40 because it was 20 quid a guitar. I would be lucky if I got 2 guitars in a month, so more often than not. So I couldn't afford to do that kind of stuff. Like, I was living on 20p noodles from Tesco. Like, I had to count the miles to get to Tesco in my car because I couldn't afford to drive it there all the time with fuel. So it's the fact that you're able to do that in the first place, which is fine, and like you can be in those kind of situations. But other people, you're not going to be in those situations. It's near impossible to even put money away to be able to do things like save for a deposit on a house, or be able to move when things like shit hits the fan, because you need to put down a deposit for somewhere. You're not going to have that. Like,
Also, I believe buying a house is a very poor financial decision. Let me explain. So.
No, it's fine. You don't need to explain. I agree with you. It is. It's a terrible investment. You get awful returns. Don't do it. I'm never buying a house in my life because it's not worth it.
Unless I become stupid rich, which I will be one of the richest people alive. Right. So when I become stupid rich, shut the fuck up. I'll remember you.
No, you won't. You'll fuck off like everyone else. Anyway, go on. It's fine.
Anyway, so I will buy a house, but I won't buy a house. I'll buy a piece of land where I would like to have a house,
right?
And I would put a house that I've designed on it and be like, oh yeah, this looks fine. which I'll probably still rent out, and I'll probably still be living somewhere else. You
No,
know what I mean?
I was going to say that's the only situation in which I would buy a house is I'd buy a house to rent it out, and it would be cheap. Like I would like to be able to do that and be like in a position where like as long as it covers itself and maybe makes me a little bit of money, that's fine because it's just sat there as an asset that will pay itself, and that's fine because I would buy it outright. I wouldn't ever want to have a mortgage and then rent that out. It seems stupid to me. But other than that,
Well, no,
I don't see the
if
point
you,
because
if you
I'm
have
fine.
if you have a mortgage on a house, so let's say you buy a house through a mortgage, and the mortgage on the house is 300. No, we'll put it 650, right? We'll put it 650.
Jesus Christ, it's a cheap mortgage. Okay.
Right, and it's in a decent area, right? Especially in the city.
You're making this 650 real stretch, but okay.
Right, it's in a decent area. It is in a decent area, right? And you renovate it, right? You put another 20k in it. Let's say you have the 20k, yeah, and then you rent it out for 800 a month. You're making 150 a month on top of your already 650 that you have to pay, right? So you're making 150 a month, and let's say through that you go and get more mortgages and more houses, and you've got yourself a pretty stable income of.
It can be. It's passive income, but you got to also bear in mind that you then take on the responsibility of those houses. This is why I will also never own, because with what I pay at the moment, I pay one fee that is my rent, all bills included, everything sorted, and I have absolutely no responsibilities. If I wanted to move in 2 months, I could do that. I could just get up and go.
Just not pay rent and go.
And do what? Sorry.
Just not pay rent and just leave one night.
You have to give notice, so there's contractual obligations involved, but that's it. That's as far as my responsibilities go. It's like, I want to move. Okay, cool. Like, there's nothing stopping me. I don't have an obligation to stay here and just fuck off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all depends, but I get what you mean. Like, for some people, it's a feasible thing to be like, yeah, I want to own a house, and like, that's a goal that they have in their life. Just not something that I have as a goal, because I'm fine.
I want to build a house, not own one outright.
Yeah, that's fair. Right, should we wrap up?
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening. I appreciate you giving us your time and energy, because it takes a lot of energy to listen to this bollocks.
It is grating. It is absolutely grueling. If you get this far in the video, people haven't commented for the previous ones. You know what? Money is the comment if you get this far. Okay, I'll give you internet points or something special in the future. I don't know, but I also appreciate that people are taking the time to listen. If they have listened this far. Yeah, really cool.
Thank you very much. Have a good night and goodbye, everyone.
Bye.